Good evening and welcome. We are here continuing our coverage of Town Meeting 2019, and we have tonight for you two candidates for the Winooski City Council seat. It's a 2-year seat that has been vacated by Christine Lott, who is running for mayor of Winooski. So there is 1 year left, and Michael Myers and Corey Mack are running for this seat, and they are here this evening to answer questions and also to take your calls. If you have any questions for them, we would love to hear them at 862-3966. So welcome to both of you. Thank you very much. We're going to start with Corey. Corey Mack, if you could give us your opening statement. Why are you running for Winooski City Council, and what qualifies you for the position?
Sure, thank you. Well, thank you for hosting the forum tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to come together and talk with Mike about this. I have been a resident of Winooski for 10 years now. And what originally drew me to Winooski is, not only is it close to Burlington and a walkable, nice town, it is also a place that I felt that I could get involved. And basically, since I got to Winooski and became involved, I started going into different seats that I could try to participate in the community. So, originally that was working for the GMTA board back in 2009, and then going towards the environmental board, and I've been on the Public Works Commission now for a couple of years. So I've had a lot of experience working towards, becoming more involved in the government. And when I saw that there was a bunch of open seats this year, there was like a call from the council, like let's get some people to step up, and I really took that opportunity. I really do appreciate the ability of Winooski to make your mark on the town, to be involved, to really participate. So that's why I'm running, and my last couple of years on the Public Works Commission has been a good experience working with the existing the council as into the policies to really see what's going on in the city, and just trying to continue the momentum that's been built up so far.
Do you mind giving us 15 seconds on your professional background?
Yes, I am a transportation consulting engineer. I work in downtown Burlington, and I've been doing that for 13 years now, so a professional licensed engineer. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Michael Myers, tell us why you're running and what qualifies you for the position of City Council in Winooski.
Well, thanks for having me. As a City appointed Winooski Pool Rebuild Committee member, I've been involved in the last several years, and being down at City Hall, it kind of sparked my interest of city government. I've been wanting to serve my community for a while now. This community has enriched my life by giving me lifelong skills. I've lived in Winooski nearly 4 decades, from riding my bikes in the streets to being a business owner. I run my electrical business out of Winooski, and I'm just proud to be a productive citizen for that city. I've been educated through the parish of St. Francis Xavier School, and I belong to St. Francis Xavier Church, and graduated from Winooski High School. I'm running for the residents of Winooski and for the young and not so young. I believe I can be a bridge between the new residents and the lifelong residents, and to do the best by them all. I believe I can be an asset for the community and for the council.
All right, tell us what the top 3 issues you care about are that you want to work on.
Well, as I mentioned before, I've been on the Pool Rebuild Committee for the last several years. We've been, the last 2 years, we started out in, I think, 2016. And then the pool committee disbanded, and we formed the Winooski Myers Memorial Foundation to help raise money for the pool. So seeing that the council was going to be all different, I felt that it was my duty to step up and run for city council, just to make sure the projects that have been voted on are seen through to the end. The roads and infrastructure have been a key point of when I'm out door to door talking to my neighbors and residents of Winooski. This is something I'd like to work on. I know Christine, we're running for her vacated seat, and she's part of the Public Works Department as a liaison. and I'd like to volunteer to fill her seat in that position so I can stay updated on the roads and infrastructure. I mean, as you know, we had 2 water main breaks on Main Street a few weeks ago. Not only did the students of Winooski High School miss a couple days of school, but there's been a lot of traffic issues. And lastly, I'd like to get elected for the city council. So the projects that we have started currently, we can finish and not add any more endeavors upon the taxpayers right now. I think trying to keep taxes down is very important for the city. That's it.
Very good. Thank you so much. Corey Mack, tell us your top 3 priorities.
Yeah, so the top 3 priorities I'd say that I've been working towards are, or that I'd like to work towards is, continuing the current initiatives. I know that there's been a lot of work put forward from the current council and all of the staff members on the existing plans and projects underway. And each one of those has undergone a very rigorous public process. And, I want to maintain that consistency and that momentum to make sure that, those continue going forward. I've been on the Public Works Commission also. So I do have a pretty good understanding about the city's infrastructure. I think that, continuing our investments in that is really important. Not only the water and wastewater infrastructure like the Hickok water main replacement that's on the ballot, but the head treatment, wastewater treatment facility being invested in, but also the Main Street project. Like that's an infrastructure project at the very end of it, and that kind of all leads into the third thing is affordability within the community. Also, I think that we're investing all this money, and we need to make sure that we're not just going to be paying that on the backs of our current residents. We need to make sure that that's going to spur investment along the Main Street corridor. We need to consider impact fees so that when new developments come in and really take advantage of this beautiful Main Street that we're building, that it is that the developers are going to be paying for this great space that we've built for them.
So do you, I'm just interrupting you because
Yeah.
of the time, but do you support the city budget as it's proposed? And tell us what your position on the ballot questions.
Yeah, so the city budget, absolutely. I know the city staff and city council spends a lot of work going into these budgets, and I know that they are first tasked with doing the level budget, but there has been some existing debt load that has been added onto the budgets. So the city budget as presented is a realistic budget with those debt expenses. So yeah, I know that they spent a lot of time making that all work out. The 2 ballot initiatives being Hickok water replacement and the pool. No, it's not the pool, is it?
Abenaki Grove.
Abenaki Garage, thank you.
You're welcome.
Abenaki Garage. So yeah, I would support both of those also. I think that Hickok, it's overdue to be replacing our water lines. It's paid for by the rate, the water and sewer funds. And the Abenaki Garage is an important investment in our downtown to make sure that it can stay viable and have the needed parking. And also it's revenue neutral in that the spaces will provide the income to construct and maintain it into the future. So I think that it's a good investment for the town. And we've been working with the designer of that to make sure that it's a parking garage for the future as well. So if there's ever a time when it's no longer going to be a parking garage, it's actually built to potentially be reused.
And what about the rooms and meals tax proposal? Do you support that?
Rooms and
Charter
meals.
change?
Yeah, so I think that it's the restaurants and everybody downtown have been and the retail industry has been consulted with that, and from what I can tell, they're on board. So if they're okay with it, then I would say, go for it.
All right, very good. Michael, tell us your position on the city budget. It's slated between the property taxes and the water taxes. A house with about $250,000 of value would be paying a taxpayer about $170 more a year. So do you support, and given your concerns about affordability, you support that budget?
I do support the budget. Excuse me. I think the two capital projects that we have on that are slated to start, the pool, it started to, I think, break ground in May, so to speak, and I believe it's going out to bid in the next couple weeks, from what I've been told. The Main Street project, I think when you have 100-year-old infrastructure underneath the streets, example I mentioned earlier was the water mains up by the high school. I think it's important for the town to do its due diligence on issues like this. Not only does, when you start replacing infrastructure, it's lasted 100 years. So technology's better now, it's gonna last even longer. The budget supports the two projects as well, which is saying something. And I think the local tax option that the voters are asked to be voted on is a no-brainer in my mind. It's for everyone who visits Winooski businesses. They're going to be asked to, they're going to be asked to pay a little extra, and it's estimated that $277,000 will be brought in yearly for that option tax, which will be raised to help out the capital investments. I think that's a huge thing, and I support that 100%. I think it's very, very important. The Hickok and Abenaki bond ballot issues, those are bond issues that will not affect the taxpayers, which I think is key because, as you know, taxes in Winooski they're pretty high, and for average people, it's sometimes working a couple extra hours to afford your taxes. But again, Hickok infrastructure, over 100 years old. I think it's a very important project, and the Abenaki parking garage is something that's needed downtown Winooski. The parking is an issue down there. As you know, if you go visit downtown, it's sometimes you're walking a couple blocks to get to where you want to go.
Mm-hmm. So let me just ask you about your view of the mix of economic development in Winooski. Are you satisfied with that mix? Do you think the city should be pursuing some different avenues?
Well, my take on that is I believe in economic growth is a key for survival and strength of a community. As long as we keep the taxes down and we can find bonds that will not affect the taxpayers, I think that's a no-brainer as well. Like I said, going after certain bonds that don't affect the taxpayers is the road I would go down. I'm running for city council so I can pursue these policies, and also policies that have worked in the past, and to stay away from the ones that haven't.
What would be an example of one that hadn't?
You know what? I'm not. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I've been talking to some of the folks that have been pounding the pavement, and this is why I want to be a counselor. I want to get more involved in the everyday operations of policies like this. And I don't know. It doesn't mean I can't find the answer. It doesn't mean I'm not going to roll my sleeves up and get in the trenches to find these answers. I just know from talking to people that I've talked to on the road that these are some of the things that they want to see.
I understand. Thank you so much. Corey, tell us about your view of the economic mix.
Yeah. I think that we've done a really good job of creating a vibrant downtown. I remember growing up in the area, just what they used to be there with the higher ground in the parking lot, and just seeing the change in the last 20 years has been pretty incredible. There's been a lot of focus on the downtown in the last 20 years, and this Abenaki garage and the proposed hotel, that's the last undeveloped lot in our downtown, and so I think that really expands or offers us an opportunity to start thinking about other areas. We've been so focused on this downtown now. So I think that we'll really have the opportunity now to focus our efforts and our attentions, not forgetting about downtown, obviously. We want to make sure that it stays vibrant, but to allow the other regions or parts of our town to really develop. So that's a Main Street corridor. I think that with a form-based code, what we've done in all the gateways, the form-based code to allow for mixed-use development along these corridors, and you kind of densify our streets entering the town is great. I think that some of the infrastructure that we're going to invest in has the option of incentivizing the growth that we might want. So we want to make sure that our wastewater treatment plant is in great shape so that we can have breweries in town or something like that. Or maybe we should be considering having conversations with the police department and other regulatory agencies about if and when marijuana sales is a thing, that Winooski's ready to take a retail spot if that's how it works. So I think we have a space coming up in our own capacity to really analyze the economic mix in Winooski, and I look forward to being a part of that.
So this is the wild card moderator question. What about the center of Winooski, of the Rotary? So you're a transportation planner. You've both lived in the region for years and years and years. What do you think has to happen with that big, useless piece of real estate right in the middle of the city?
Well, I would disagree that it's useless. I think that it has a function.
I think Wake and Windows would disagree with you too.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it never really fully realized its potential. It was supposed to be like this visual cue to enter from coming down Colchester Avenue. It was a really kind of interesting design, but the street lights didn't really work with how it was originally designed. And I think that I'm overall glad that those are gone. I really resisted that at the time. But the traffic circle down there is a challenge for Winooski. And I noticed just this morning that the rapid flashing beacon crossing has fallen. It was knocked off, and now it's not functioning. So like those are our downtown is we're asking a lot of it. I mean, there's thousands of cars that go through there every day, and it is a vibrant scene of people walking and eating and having a great time. What can we do with it? I think that we can have it be a public space, and try to find a way to encourage people to use it, but also it's in the middle of a traffic circle. So it's a complex and challenging question.
With no simple answer?
No.
None.
What about you?
Well, I'm not the traffic engineer that Corey is, but that space is used. We have a pumpkin festival every year down there that's very successful. A lot of families are out there. We have thousands of pumpkins. It's a great festivity, and kids enjoy it. Not only do the local businesses enjoy it, because we all either go eat there or maybe have a pint, one or two. Also, Wake and Windows. It's one of the centerpieces of Wake and Windows downtown Winooski. I think it's going to have to stay as a park for now, especially with the projects that we have ongoing right now. It's a great question, and you're not the only one. And we're not the only ones, for sure, that don't know what to use for it. But I think for the space that's there now, and for the traffic that's down there, the events that's thrown downtown Winooski, I think they utilize that space very well.
Got it. Okay, good. That was my moderator's choice question. So let me ask you about this institutional memory and continuity of government operations. There's been a big change in the City Council, and both of you have expressed this importance of accomplishing and finishing the projects that were started. Is there anything more you want to say? I mean, how to bring the lessons learned from the past into this next chapter of governance for the city?
Yeah, I'll start on that one.
Yeah.
Well, being from Winooski, I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen some councils that have lasted years and years, but I was unaware that being a leader in Winooski was a concern for our fellow citizens. I believe that anyone and everyone that runs for city government has a collective purpose of making our community stronger, safer, and engaging. In simpler words, we want to make it friendlier as a whole. As a counselor, I would promote heavily on city commissions to engage the younger generation to get more involved and to keep city, the special city it is. It's been a great town. It's a great city. It always has been, and I think it will be for the future as well.
Thank you so much. Corey, your view on this question of...
Yeah, so this institutional memory, it's as much as it's nice to have people in the council and leadership for a long time, it's also great to have fresh people coming in to really give a new perspective and everything. So I think that as much as it's a challenge, it's also a great opportunity to really have a new way to look at things. I'd say that, you know, I'm a perfect example of how that institutional memory can be like brought forward. I've been involved for many years in a number of different avenues. So like being on the Public Works Commission for the last couple of years, being on the Environmental Board, you know, doing various activities within the community for a while. I've been, you know, active. I've known a lot of the city staff for quite some time, and I've been a part of the development of a lot of these plans. So like the form-based code plan, I was involved in a lot of those meetings, and I think that the way to maintain that kind of continuity is by, as Mike was saying, you know, using those commissions, you know, really bringing people on to get involved, and, you know, keeping people engaged. You know, and, you know, I think that we could potentially have more youth involvement, to bring people into and the deciding and keeping them engaged, and having them being more part of the process. And you know, that goes for, you know, all the communities within Winooski.
Do you have a question for Michael?
I didn't have one prepared, so not off the top of my head.
What is there anything that he said this evening that makes you curious?
No, in fact, I'd say that, you know, I think that Mike and I have probably very similar perspectives on what our goals for the city are and how we would go forward with them. You know, he seems like he'd be a great candidate also. So
Thank you.
I think, you know, as long as we have people willing to step up and look out for the best interests of the city, we're in good hands. And I think that just being here tonight, I think, is a testament to both of us. So
Thank you.
I think we'll do a good job.
Michael, do you have a question for Corey?
No, I just wanted to thank him for running. You know, it shows a lot when people start coming out and stepping up for the community. Winooski has always been a great little place. From when I was 10 years old to now, I'm not going to say my age on public TV, but I'm 44. You know, I just think that people like us do the right thing. You know, if there's action to take, you gotta help out. You gotta make your community a better place to live for everybody, for all neighbors, for, you know, for your children. I'm raising a family here, and I want my family to remember Winooski that way that I sort of did. I want her to, you know, I want my daughter to be brought up in a special little city. I like calling it town because it's more of a town vibe than a city vibe. But you know, and just the one thing I want to rebut on the leaders is I agree with you that sometimes when you get a long-term council, it sometimes gets stale, and this is going to be a whole brand new council, so it's kind of exciting, but there's a lot going on in the city of Winooski. So people, you know, Corey's been involved, so it's good that Corey's been involved, so he knows some of the in and outs of the city. But I also think that political compromise needs to be a thing of the council too. I think some common sense needs to be back, because I think common sense has a lot to do with governing. I believe that you can't just have one voice in governing. You have to have opposition views, just so people can expand their minds a little bit and step out of the box instead of being in the same pattern all the time.
Well, it's one of the questions that we had has to do with what role do you see political compromise has in local government, in the politics, and you know, we see nationally that that's sometimes hard to come by, which is why we ask. So maybe you could say a little something about the role of compromise. Is that part of your toolkit as a leader?
I believe it is. I believe that I may have different opinions than other people, and makes me human, right? I'm sure Corey has some different opinions than I have, and I think fresh ideas is what makes a city government work at its best. The old saying, 2 minds are better than one. You know, sometimes you get to have another idea to kind of fine-tune this idea that you have over here. And I believe that political compromise is a good tool to use for city government.
How about you, Corey? What's your view of that?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, I'm very thankful that this isn't like Washington. I think, you know, whenever we are are meeting to discuss an issue or a problem or something, I'm gonna come at it first from my professional training as an engineer, which has always been a pretty objective lens. I want to like take a look at like the facts and the data and see what really happens when you're really analyzing it to that level. But ultimately it comes down to I'm also a resident and a human, and I'm going to have my own opinions, and we're going to have to just express those with the others and with other people and get their opinion, and then just make a decision based on our understanding and our best beliefs. And I think that we're all, like I was saying earlier, we're all reasonable, good people, and we all have Winooski's best interests in mind. And as long as we can keep that, then I don't see why we couldn't be able to come to an agreement that is respects everybody at the same time.
Do you have closing comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, sure. So again, I am excited to jump into the city council at this time. When I was considering doing all this, I also applied to be appointed to the interim councilor. So I'm actually on council right now, just to get started and really jump right in. I think Winooski's in a very interesting time, and I'm looking forward to continuing the momentum to really see a lot of these projects through. And I hope that keeps the momentum moving forward, and have a good council into the future.
Thank you, Corey Mack. Awesome. Michael Myers, your closing comments, please.
Well, thanks for having me tonight. I think the voters of Winooski have a tough choice, because it does seem like Corey and I have the same kind of perspective. But I think when at day's end, what's best for Winooski is what's best for Winooski. Winooski's always been a special place where it governed itself. We didn't need any outside help, so to speak. And I kind of want to keep that going. I think Winooski can take care of Winooski. And like I said before, being raised here, I'm raising a family here. I'm excited for the future of Winooski, and I think it has a lot of, it's an exciting town. It's exciting in Winooski. There's a lot of hard work, and for people that know me, they know I'll put the time in. I'll roll my sleeves up. I'm a tradesman, and I think for what I need to do for Winooski, because I'd like to repay it back for what it's done for me.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Winooski is very fortunate to have such enthusiastic people running for the city council, not only for this seat, but the other seat. And we have been speaking this evening with Michael Myers and Corey Mack, and they are running for the an unexpired term. It's a 2-year seat with 1 year left. So whoever wins this seat will be running again in a year. I believe that would be true. So stay tuned here for Channel 17's continuing coverage of Town Meeting 2019, and don't forget to vote on the 5th of March.
Or whoever doesn't win.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for joining.